Having presented the jury, we're now ready to welcome our first finalist this afternoon. Please give a warm welcome to University of British Columbia. So there's one microphone, 2 seconds. The team will now have 20 minutes to present their solution. They will get warnings when there's 5 and 1 minute left. Are you ready, guys? OK, we start the clock.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Is this microphone working? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you very much for having us present to you this afternoon. And while I have a moment, may I thank the Copenhagen Business School for inviting us to the 10th anniversary of your competition. H&M. It's a brand defined by consumers as fashion at a price. Investors would define it differently. It's a brand that has been able to grow tremendously over the last 30 years. The 10 to 15% store growth targets that have been set out by this company have made it the darling of the apparel industry, to the point that it's recently acclaimed top spot internationally. With this growth comes a tremendous amount of new responsibility and new risks. I'll highlight a date for you. December 7th of 2012 marks the first day that the new growth strategy of H&M will exceed 1 new store per day. This is growth that this firm has seen in the past in terms of a percentage, but the aggregate number of stores has never been this large. Over the next 20 minutes, myself, Jen, Rob, and Jenny are going to walk you through how H&M will be able to achieve this growth despite the new risks facing the organization. The overall risk that's facing this company is that H&M needs to optimize its operations in order to continue this aggressive growth strategy. There are 3 sub-issues that are outlined here, and we have 3 recommendations that we'll be following through on that will allow this organization to succeed. In particular, they are address and actively manage growth risks, integrate a channel strategy to boost same-store sales, and create a construct for how you're going to analyze the new markets that you're going to be entering. Together, these strategies form H&M's growth for the next 5 years. We've termed them Ready, Steady, and Grow. It's impossible to move forward from this point without first addressing the values of H&M as an organization. Growth on this scale is never going to be easy, and the recommendations that we're putting forward today are not going to be easy. They are, however, going to be simple.
Thank you. So simple but not easy, straightforward but not bland. In the next 3 minutes, I'm going to walk you through how to lay the foundation for the Ready, Steady, Grow strategy. Firstly, when we began to think about this problem, we started to look at how H&M makes money and what makes you successful. The second thing is we kept a close eye on your competitors, what they're doing, and what we think their competitive response will be to your aggressive growth strategy. Lastly, we looked at what the industry trends are and matching the opportunities in the industry with your strengths to bring them together so you can exploit the largest holes. The first thing is H&M's international brand provides itself the greatest strength. Notably, there's a huge opportunity in the industry for fully integrated online and offline channels, as well as entering new markets. And you can see that in the lower left-hand corner of the schematic. We believe that your strong international brand is going to be able to bridge the gap between that lower left and upper right corner and exploit your notable late entry into Asia Pacific, but also capitalize on the new channel integration, bringing H&M completely global, being everywhere your customers are, both offline and online. To do this, we've noticed that you've welcomed competition. And why shouldn't you? As the global leader in retail, you should relish the chance to stay on top. This schematic shows your customers and where we think they're going to be moving in the next 5 years. Notably, Zara is trending in the same direction you are. You know as well as I do that H&M does better when Zara is present and is excelling. Therefore, we suggest you follow Zara into the Asia Pacific and Eastern European markets and bring the competition to their doorstep. The next thing we looked at were the trends in the industry. Notably that uncertainty has been driving the industry since in the post-recession era. Secondly, the fact that developing markets have been the quickest to respond with trending up on a moderate rise, but this is largely due to the influx in China. Lastly, the established markets have been the slowest to respond. Trading down is still very prevalent, although it's off its previous peak. This means that H&M is going to have a diverse set of strategies to address each one of these individual markets that will roll up into a global strategy that keeps the consumer experience consistent. To do this successfully, H&M is going to have to optimize its growth strategy. So, to our first recommendation and how to ready H&M for this growth pattern. H&M, as Josh has already mentioned, is going to experience absolutely incredible growth. It's been the starlet of the industry in the past 20 years, missing its growth target of 10% only once. This is going to become even more difficult in the next 5 years, as on December 7th, 2012, you will, in fact, start opening more than one store a day. To do this successfully, you will have to continue to entrench your entrepreneurial spirit, that value of going out and making your own in your strategy. This is done by managing new risks that you've never done before. Entrepreneurs don't put themselves in unnecessarily risky situations. However, entrepreneurs manage risks in intrinsically risky situations. Case in point, in 2013, you will train 30,000 Chinese workers how to eat, breathe, and sleep H&M, something that you will have never done before, but will be incredibly challenging for your cultural ambassadors. So, to do this, H&M needs to be both A, operationally, B, geographically, and C, dynamically consistent. Operationally, within the organization, geographically, globally, and dynamically across time. This is done in a two-part strategy, keeping talent engaged and creating a guest experience. We term this Live H&M. You're going to see a lot of fresh faces in H&M in the next 5 years. The duty of bringing them into the H&M culture is largely going to fall on the shoulders of your store managers. They themselves are entrepreneurs in their own right. The fact that they are the talent that attracts the new talent to them will be what creates and maintains the culture. Secondly, creating a guest experience, that customers should not be thought of as sheep with wallets with money to spend. Rather, they should feel when they walk into an H&M as they're walking into the back room of a fashion house in Paris, open to select anything they want. And that guest experience is what we want to recreate.
The next phase of our strategy addresses how H&M can really steady and gain steady growth in your same-store sales. We believe the most effective way to do this is through an aggressive online and offline integration strategy and a growth in your e-tail outlets. We also considered 4 other options. One is product expansion into the cosmetics industry. The next one is increasing sourcing of organic cotton. The third is decreasing the lead times. And the fourth one is actually modifying or expanding your other brands in your portfolio. The last one we did not pursue simply because this only leverages 10% of your current revenues at the H&M level, as well as the fact that the other 4 strategies actually really impact H&M's operations as a whole. So after assessing attractiveness as well as value, we have settled and we really recommend that you pursue aggressive e-tailing. There's 2 prongs to the strategy. The first one is really optimizing your current operations. This is a benchmarking study that shows that H&M is currently not performing as well as its competitors on 8 dimensions of how online effectiveness can be seen through your shops. And so what we see here is that if H&M can successfully see what competitors do and take those best-in-class principles, apply them to their own operations, they will be able to gain a stronger foothold in the emerging and growing online shop. As well, I'd like to show you that the average score is quite low across the industry, so this possesses extreme opportunity for H&M to grow. An example is Topshop. They are great at navigation and search. They have a search toolbar that says you can search by color, by type, by price, as well as other categories. H&M doesn't have this. You need this. This, along with other strategies, are what we recommend you implement to ensure that your multi-channel experience is integrated offline and online. The second prong of the strategy is to open more e-tail outlets as a whole. We have a strategy for you to open 15 stores next year, as well as 15 stores in the year after that. Following that, with future markets, we suggest that you go into these markets first with a low-risk e-tail exposure so that customers can try the price, experience your brand, and then you move in with a strong brick-and-mortar presence. We've already talked about the financial attractiveness. I want to bring your attention to customer impact. This allows your customers to have a 24/7 conversation with H&M. This is invaluable. This is a schematic that shows the countries we expect H&M to move into over the next couple years. And the bottom line is that H&M will have a retail presence online in every single market where it exists offline as well.
The last prong of our strategy is termed grow. And this is really talking about how H&M can target the markets it's currently going after and best effectively use its resources to grow top line and to achieve those 10 to 15% stores every year. This first slide looks at the growth internationally of the apparel industry. It's important to highlight that the European market is starting to stagnate while the American and Asia Pacific markets are continuing to grow. These numbers are aggregate growth rates over the next 5 years. What this means is that to achieve the growth targets, H&M needs to expand into non-traditional markets. This slide outlines on the x-axis store growth in percentage, and on the y-axis, revenue per store. I'll highlight a few of these bubbles for you. Japan is an outlier as it's a mature market that has high growth. Russia and China are fast but small growing. Sorry, fast but small. This last corner are the European markets exemplified by slower growth but large amounts of revenue. This next slide double clicks in on the red box in the bottom left and expands out the European markets. In the bottom right, you see the same thing on a different scale. The expanding markets in Eastern Europe. Second, you see this middle tranche, which are Southern and Eastern European markets, which have relatively faster growth and some significant opportunity. And third is the backbone of H&M's growth traditionally, which is Western European markets. Our recommendation is going to be to significantly stratify the countries that you're currently attempting to enter. We've termed these 5 areas nascent, new, Eastern, Western, and mature markets. This slide is broken down here. The key trends that are important to understand within each of these segments are as follows. Looking at the future markets, we want to recognize that H&M is not currently in any of them. Brazil is a market that you're considering in the future, however, you have no stores there as of yet. We're not going to let it slip off our radar, so we're keeping it in the acquisition funnel. Second is China. It's set for rapid growth. Currently, H&M is behind the curve in China as it has a late entrance into the industry. We're going to recommend an acquisition into the Chinese market that allows H&M to significantly invest in that area and catch up on the growth that it's missed in the last few years. That acquisition is of Meters Bonway. I'm going to pass off to Jen, who's going to walk you through it.
So as Josh has mentioned, we're really excited today to bring you a potential target for H&M. It is called Meters Bonway. It is one of the largest casual wear retailers in China. It has over 3,000 retail chains nationwide, and it targets the demographic group between 18-year-olds and 25-year-olds. So on the table here, we have classified some evaluation metrics for under brand and customer and market access for both companies, the target and the acquirer. And as we can see overall, there are some similarities and some differences. The two I would like to emphasize is number one, both MW and H&M are focused to deliver unique fashion to its consumers. It's promoted as being different, and it encourages consumers to be very, very unique. And secondly, I would like to emphasize that through this acquisition, H&M will be able to attain key real estate asset and distribution network in China, which is crucial in this market. we understand that is a deviation from your historical strategies about leasing and operating. However, we believe that due to the overheated rental property markets in China today, this is the best option to tackle the Chinese market. So as you can see on the slide here,